Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another very special episode of the OTTRED Spotlight Podcast. I've been talking to these two individuals for quite a long time about coming onto the podcast to talk about their business. I first met Jessy and Salloum when they were early arrivals to the party that we now call OTTRED, and have been involved with the community that is now global ever since. I'm looking forward to unpacking and revealing the story of where White Peak Solutions came from, and most importantly, where the business is now when it comes to the constitution of their product and the value that it brings to the clients that they serve. Jessy, Salloum, finally, we get to do the OTTRED Spotlight Podcast with you.
Yeah, we're so happy to be here, Chris. We've been looking forward to having this interview and this talk with you.
I'm really looking forward to it because I think it was probably 3 years ago when you guys were kind enough to give me a demo of your product. And it was probably one of the first demos that I've seen where I got to look behind the scenes of this industry that had captured my attention. And it struck me then how comprehensive your product was and how much must have gone into it to create that platform. We're 3 years down the line now, and I know that some of the stuff that you guys have done to enhance your posture on live and utilization of AI and content management, I want to talk about all of that stuff on this podcast, because for me, the opportunity not only to talk about the story where the business came from, I think it's kind of cool, your different skill sets and how it creates the leadership of the business now. But the other thing is the actual product. Like, I think it's a really compelling product, and I want to talk about those features that the market should know about when it comes to White Peaks. First of all, for people that don't know you, it would be great to just get a quick introduction from each of you and the capacity and accountability that you've got as the leadership team at White Peaks. Jessy, shall we start with ladies first?
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Salloum. So I'm Jessy. I've been working with Salloum for the past few years, mainly at White Peak Solutions, but from a very long time ago as a client and he as a supplier. What I do right now at White Peaks, I am the COO, so I handle the operations, and I work very closely with a lot of clients to help them with their digital transformation, their digital presence, and their whole digital operations.
Fantastic. Thanks, Jessy. We will definitely be coming back to the stuff that you just mentioned and how it influences the way you go to market. Salloum, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you for hosting us, and thank you for all the efforts you've been doing over OTTRED. I remember how it scaled, and we're now a huge entity, but I permit myself to say we.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we started earlier with It ME initially before having White Peaks. And then we decided to have the media entity on its own. This is where we joined hands, and we had Jessy with us joining to form White Peak Solutions, which became today a pioneer in media, in the media industry, especially in the Gulf region, as well as parts in Europe. What we stressed on and what we believed on is that media will become streaming and will not remain on satellite. And what we stressed on is that software will be leading and not hardware. And this is what we're seeing right now. We still use, of course, hardware, but it's all the innovation comes from software. And this was a belief we had, and this was also in a view we had.
This is what excites me about seeing your progress, guys, because everything that we spoke about years ago and the evolution of the market in general, you're absolutely right. That's the way it's crystallized, and that's the way it's accelerating, not just in this region, in the Middle East, but all over the planet. And I think that you're in a great position when it comes to the kind of stuff that your product, your platform does. And actually, I've got to correct myself a bit. I don't think it's just that. I want to make sure that we talk about the spirit and culture that you've got within your business as well, because although it's not part of the hard-coded platform, it's not an electronic thing, it's a very tangible thing for me with White Peaks, the standard that you each set for yourself.
I hope you're enjoying the podcast. Look, the brand elevation that this podcast over the last 5 seasons has brought for OTTRED, my brand, and in this season, sponsors as well, is something that I want to make available to you. If you're enjoying this podcast and you'd like to get this section of the next season to elevate your own brand, then please reach out to me.
Let's talk about the market in general then. Let's start off with the point that you just mentioned, Salloum. The origination of the business was in the Gulf region. When you were first going to market with the platform, what did it look like then? What was the basis of the platform in terms of the service that you were providing?
We started initially with live streaming services, and at the time we were working to provide live streaming services, and we were the only providers that originates from the region. Everyone was searching for those solutions. There were only the big boys, some in Europe and very little in Europe, and some in the US. So our clients were looking to start streaming as streaming was evolving, and we took that decision to move into the business because actually the engine of streaming was a bit complex to configure. It was a Linux-based engine, and it needed some tweaks with knowledge in Java and few other stuff. And this is what attracted me initially. It was the technical challenge that attracted me and that pushed me to go there, despite my love for everything related to media or the media industry itself. So this is how it started.
I want to touch on Jessy, you came from that side of the fence, right? You were in the broadcast industry. When you first came over to work with Salloum and you were then taking this product to market, what kind of reception were you meeting when you were talking about how OTT and streaming was going to become more and more prevalent over time? What was the reaction when you were first taking the White Peak solution product to market?
Okay, so Salloum said that OTTRED started providing the live streaming service back then when everyone wanted to transform digitally to have their content available online, video on demand. And so the product started evolving, right? First of all, you only had video on demand, transcoding, encoding, and then you started to add publishing on social media, restreaming live on social media, adding transcription, translation, clipping tool. So the product was evolving with time, but that was, for me, this is very important, okay? Because you need a good technology, but what you also need is a good support. You need to feel that the technical people you are working with are good enough. They can support you, but also they can advise you. And this is, I think this is one of the magic potions Salloum used during his, let me say, while he was evolving with the product in the market, because everyone who calls Salloum and says, listen, you know, I have this problem, Salloum wouldn't just say, okay, look, I changed the settings for you and there you go. No, we try to understand the root cause of the problem and then take it one step ahead and find a long-term solution. So when I joined QuickMotion, this trust with the market had been established.
Okay.
Right? So we didn't have to establish a trust. We just had to bring something new on the table, which is, okay, guys, we are giving you the technical solution. It's good, it's robust, but also we are here to be your technical partners as well. For your digital presence to be an optimal presence and not only, you know, a mediocre technological solution.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that comes across really clearly with you guys. You know, it's very much about earning the right to do the next thing. And you've already built the bridge in towards being able to have that conversation. You just mentioned QuickMotion. In the research that me and one of my team did in the run-up to being able to do this podcast, I came across a whole host of cool names for references for your products. Can we just run through a few of them? Because I'd like more familiarity. So on the content management side of things, you guys have got Folio. Am I pronouncing it correctly?
You're pronouncing it correctly and your British accent, but...
That's so polite of you, Jessy. How would I say it if I was pronouncing it with full integrity?
So we call it Folio. But
Folio.
I mean, yeah, it's in French, you know, when you have an nom propre, which is like a name, you can say it the way you want. Doesn't really matter.
So Folio. and quick motion. Let's start off with those, because that, if I understand it correctly, that's the customizable CMS component of your offering, right? And that was one of the that was the first component. That was the origination, like the nucleus of the platform.
So before I will leave the floor to Salloum, tell you more about the technical aspect of the product, but I always like to make a small story introduction. So when Salloum said that they spin It Works ME into White Peak Solutions to work only with the media solutions, there was a need in the market for an end-to-end OTT solution. Quick Motion was not enough to do that, okay? And clients were coming in saying, you know, we want the full solution. We don't want to work with several providers. We want to work with you. Can you provide us with the full solution? And this is how White Peak started. You know, Salloum said, okay, for them to have a full OTT, we need several pillars. Pillar number one is Quick Motion, the OVP for the videos. Pillar number two is the CMS, Content Management System. This is where you go. You add your content, programs, series, shows, movies, whatever it is. You add title, description, you add the genres, categories, seasons, you add your EPGs, you sync your EPGs, you add your live streaming. So it's where you handle how you want that content to appear on your front-end applications. And this CMS is a headless one. So it's linked through APIs to the front-end applications. So pillar number three would become the front-end applications, which are developed in-house. We do native applications because our clients are media clients and they want very robust applications. And then pillar number four is the infrastructure. So this is where the CDN comes. So we partner with Akamai for this. Storage, we partner with also Akamai and Amazon. This is where the hosting comes in, which is done through our sister company, It Works ME. And the fifth pillar, I guess we're on the fifth, is the analytics. So we had our own product, Quick Analytics, but now recently we partnered with nice people at work for full-fledged video analytics.
To put things into perspective, Chris, as to add on the top of what Jessy was saying right now, in terms of Folio as a CMS, why Folio as a CMS and why we decided to go into that, because people doesn't like to sit in a cage. That being said, they don't want a custom or a tailor-made CMS that requires development every now and then. This is where we built Folio, taking in mind the dynamic aspect. This being said, everything in Folio can be changed. Any word you see on the front-end application can be modified from Folio. This is number one. Number two, scale. And when I say scale is very important. You never can predict how many persons are coming. And imagine having a football game and you have instead 1,000, 10,000, and you will break everything in OTT. That is not allowed. Number three, which is also a very main pillar, especially today, cybersecurity is a buzzword that people use today. It was the heart of Folio. And this is how, and this is why White Peaks is ISO 27000 certified, because we have security in the heart of each product we have. As if you take Quick Motion on itself, Quick Motion is a SaaS cloud solution that allows you to upload and manage multimedia content. That being said, Quick Motion is a pillar, is a main pillar, or is a base for anyone to build media. If you don't have Folio, you have your own Folio, or you have CMS, you just need Quick Motion services. You ingest, transcode, package, deliver, secure, edit, clip, and AI do things on the top of the videos. That's in a very quick way.
I want to talk about AI in a second. That'll be our next topic. But I also want to say, and I felt this before, when you guys talk about your pillars and the way that you build an end-to-end solution, it's so clear that that's the currency of conversation within your business, because you're just so fluent when you talk about it. And if I were a customer, and I kind of want to ask you this, Jessy, when you're going in, it's almost like a professional service to go in and be able to present the modules of what you can put on the table, and then work with them to talk about their needs, whether it's scalability, whether it's monetization, whether it's security, and interpret where the emphasis should be in their solution. Would that be an accurate line of thought in how the conversations go, Jessy, when you're either scaling up a solution for an existing client or bringing on an incremental logo?
At the end of the day, why do you buy something, Chris? Because you need it. Okay, so we try to understand what that need is, and then we give them a custom-made solution for them.
You may or may not be able to answer this question without compromising your clients, but I'm going to ask it anyway, and I won't be offended if you can't. How wide and varied are the solutions that you've got deployed? Do you tend to find that different clients want very different solutions, or are they kind of 80% the same with 20% variable around the edges?
Okay, so yes, there is a lot of common ground between the solutions we have deployed for our current clients, mainly when it comes to the media clients, because they all need the basic set of tools. But a lot of clients have other, like if this is the OTT project we're talking about, they want to stream live, to have their content available on video on demand, monetize SVOD, TVOD, AVOD, EPG integration, the main basics every TV station would need for their online presence. Yes, this is mainly in common. But we get also a lot of other requests related to side projects. So for example, when it comes to building an archive platform for a media entity, this is very different than an OTT experience. Or when we build microsites for certain TV shows, they all have their own identity. So I don't know what the percentage is, but it definitely is between 70 to 80%, I would say. But I don't have like statistics and data. But I guess that's the number.
I guess the customization in the front end must be where, that's always specific to that particular client.
Exactly. Thank you for bringing this up, because I was referring to the technology aspect. In terms of front end, all front ends are customized because anyway, we're building native applications. We're building them from scratch. And our clients, they do own the source code for their applications, the front end applications. So we definitely look at their look and feel, the brand identity. We create new modules for them.
It's not, Chris, just let me add it. It's not a copy paste. Okay. At the end of the day, there is a base that everyone needs. Everyone needs to have excellent video playback, no buffering. And this is a requirement. And this is something we have focused on. Everyone wants scalable solution, but everyone wants his own story, wants to write his own story. And everyone audience is different than the other, and this is where White Peaks comes into the play, because at first we start by planning before building, and this is where we put the high efforts, and this is what people see. So what people see is very different from one to the other. At the end of the day, clients of White Peaks are enterprise solution. We do not have anyone that wants a copy paste from the other. Each one has his own image, has his own audience, and is looking to build something that caters for his content and his audience.
I would love to be in one of those workshops where you build the front end. I think that must be really cool to interpret your client's personality, vision, who they think they are, what they think what their customer base want. I can imagine that they're really active sessions. How long does it usually take to actually start from concept through to implementation of a front end?
Okay, so basically I jump in on those calls, given that I used to work in a prominent TV station here. So I know how the digital operations function inside a TV station. And whenever these people start to talk and someone is actually listening to them, understanding what they are referring to, it really helps. So what we do is we try to understand why they are doing this. What do they want to achieve? What are their short-term goals, long-term goals? We try to access their analytics to understand who's watching, men, women, age group, what do they usually watch? And then we start to gather from them, because it's really hard to get like a very technical feedback from them. So what we try to do is we share with them several like prominent other OTT platforms, say for example, Netflix, Shahid, Disney. And we say, what do you like in this? What do you like in that? And we start gathering that feedback, and we start with wireframes for them to understand how this is going, how the experience will be. Then we move to the design phase. we start only with the homepage, and then we discuss every single call to action, every font, every title, every module design. And then, we start to move step by step. So they always say, we want this project delivered in 3 months. I say, okay, but do you know that the design phase will actually take 3 months? They say, no, we got to answer you really fast. And every design phase does not take less than 3 months.
Interesting.
You have also to take into the aspect that Jessy is someone hard to please in terms of design, in terms of work. So, and this is something that's built around it, that we built around it, the solutions. Why? It's part of the culture. We're very honest all together inside the team, and we're very hard on each others in terms of output. So none of us accepts to have an output that's not the desired one. So we all try to take the limits to the maximum. Starting, this is wasn't in design, in tech, in anything. So this is how things go, and this is why we are at that level.
I guess that must have changed quite a lot over the years, because Jessy, one of those workshops when streaming platforms and OTT was at its earlier stages of coming to the market. People don't know what they don't know. So you've got to coach them through how something might look or something like that. And now there's a lot of experts within the broadcasting organizations. And I guess that it's become a slightly different sentiment of that interaction when you're working on different iterations of a platform and upgrading and new versions.
Yes, it is true. What helps us a lot, Chris, is that the technology is really dynamic. The CMS is really dynamic, So because we give them, okay, number one, if I don't like the design doesn't go live. Even if the client likes it, I will follow up and do my best to change his mind until I think the design is good enough to be signed by WPS. Sometimes you need to stop. You have some limits. You need to stop. But I really try my best to have a design that White Peaks likes, and not only the client. And this is very honestly. Number two, a lot of times the client does not really understand things, so they see this design, and then for them, this is how it will look. And something, when you're presenting a design, usually you're choosing the best thumbnails, best images, best color contrast. But in real life, not everyone has the capacity to choose the best thumbnail for every single episode or show they are uploading. So things, change in reality. But what we did is we provided them with a very dynamic CMS. And what I'm talking about here is a very dynamic page designer, whereby if they don't like the 16:9, they don't have the 16:9 module, the thumbnails. Yeah. They don't have to come back to us. They can change it from the CMS. Just move things around, change the display, change them into circular, rectangular, 3x4. So we gave them all of these tools. So they don't have to come back to us for every single change. The TV world, it doesn't sleep, doesn't have a break. And then you can have a new show that suddenly comes in at midnight and the next day it needs to be aired. It happens, So you can't have a development company that needs to tell you, okay, I need 2 weeks to develop this for you. No.
Or 12 channels broadcasting live football a night before the event. That happened very recently, a week ago, with the Saudi Broadcasting Authority. We had a call at 8 p.m. Paris time. That means it's around 11, I guess, your time. That tomorrow at 6 p.m. KSA time, they have 12 games that they need to broadcast, all of them live on the website. So we had immediately mobilized the team to create 12 channels, to have everything set on time with the background, with the logos, with everything online to broadcast those 12 events. They were doing 12 football games altogether.
Salloum, I need to ask you this. When that kind of stuff happens and your competence and team spirit and ability to get the job done is tested, do you love it?
I adore it. It's a moment of pride for me, I have to be very honest. Yeah, I adore it. And this is how we build things. We build them around this. This is how support is built. Even if you go to our support, we call it support, but honestly, it's more than an R&D. because our support people are all engineers. They are all people that whenever they are asked a question, they give you an answer and they give you a solution. They don't stop just by answering, oh, look, we will check and get back to you. And this is why we perform in support in a way that no one's can do.
I feel like in a number of ways, not just in support. If I imagine me being the client and being very happy with my front end, but Jessy disagreeing with me, that benchmark, that standard, it feels like you guys are like a Michelin star kitchen of OTT. You know, you never serve a dish in any way, whatever part of the meal that dish is, there's an expectation of how it's going to come out of the kitchen. You know, it's always got to be great.
Yes. And I just wanted to add one thing, and I want to talk about Salloum. Chris, do you get tired with your current job? Because you always post on LinkedIn how happy you are with where you are right now in life, with the OTTRED community, with Amanda, the kids.
Yeah.
Do you get tired?
Never.
Yeah. Why? Because you're so happy with what you're doing. You found your passion. Yeah, and this is what technology is to Salloum. This is why Quick Motion is what it is today. This is why the whole company is what it is today, because it is passion, sitting behind a laptop, creating something new, creating a new technology, scaling up a server, giving a very hard hosting, a very hard event to host in terms of live streaming or whatever it is, without any no anomalies, nothing went down. I mean, he lives for this.
Yeah, there's so many things that could go wrong, and it's all got to work perfectly, literally. Yeah. Otherwise, nothing would work. I want to talk about AI because I know this is another topic that ignites you, Salloum, and it's something that you've worked hard on. And it's not even really a new thing in the way that it is for most of the rest of the world for White Peaks, because I know that you were working on this before ChatGPT and all of this kind of stuff broke. Bring me closer to how AI is now part of the DNA of your product set and it's differentiating you guys.
Just allow me to open small brackets. AI was discovered for the world, or it became a buzzword when ChatGPT appeared. Why? Because it's the first time whereby you were having a machine that reacts to you. You give her an input, then it gives you a big output. You give her a question, then it gives you a paragraph. So people like this. From a psychological point of view, it was very appealing to people, and they get wow, what's going on. For us, AI started back, it's more into AI production. And why I say AI production, because we're producing something out of AI. It's not just a text that you are playing with. So we're changing something with AI. We started initially by adopting IBM Watson. So we integrated with them, and this allowed us to do transcription and translation. In other words, it's a closed captions that you see on TV. And why I say it's AI in terms of production, because we canceled 8 hours and converted them into 30 minutes to have closed caption on movies. You still need a human to correct them, but it differs from 8 hours to a few minutes. Then we went to AI cropping. AI cropping was a word right now. Everyone on social media with reels and all that. Media needs to be there. To reframe a video or to redo the video from 16:9 to 9:16, it takes 8-9 hours. We have done something that finalize a video of 5 minutes, 6 minutes in 1 minute, and for those people, and give you the real 9:16, and it's a real AI thing and not a reframing thing. So I don't just cut in the middle, or when I cannot cut, I give the 16:9 and show black or flew up and down. No, we do the real AI thing. We move and we show really faces and people that are into the subject.
I wonder.
Chris, I just want to say that the AI cropping tool is very useful to people who, all TV content is mainly in landscape format. So if you want to share that content on TikTok, on Instagram Reels, you need to transform it into a portrait. So that's what the tool basically does.
Got it. And that is a format that everybody's talking about now. If I look at some other of your competitors, they're really playing big on that particular Reels, Shorts, portrait, all of that kind of thing. what I hear you saying is that you guys were ahead of the curve when it came to the ability to do that. Before the market was really receptive to it or even asking for it, you guys were thinking ahead of the curve. I can't help but sit here and think, listening to all of these advances that you made on the analytics and security and AI and content management system, how do you imagine what's next? How do you stay ahead of the curve? Because once you set that benchmark for yourself and you're delivering to your clients and they've got that expectation, how do you keep finding the roadmap? How do you keep imagining what you need to do to develop a product roadmap that is as compelling as the history of the business?
It's quite easy, and allow me to answer this because this is where the much comes from. Jessy sits in the shoes of a client, and this is very important. So we cannot deliver something that works, but you cannot use it. In other words, everything is built around how the customer perceives it. And this is why our pipeline is never free of tasks. More than that, we have always wide ears listening to the market, and we are always in research. And on the top of that, the most important cherry is Jessy is not someone easy to please. This is I stress on, because she always has ideas, and I will give her also to continue to answer the same question, because there is definitely another part of this story.
Jessy?
Okay, so I agree with him. So mainly it's the clients. We listen a lot to the clients. If they have any remark, any comment, like for example, it was hard for me to prop a video because 1, 2, 3. Okay, how can we optimize this? We go directly and take action. Research, definitely. The team's input. We listen to the team, whatever they have to say. You know, they're working with this product all day long. They're listening to clients. They're a very important pillar of all of this. Creativity, yeah. Salloum is very creative when it comes to technology. I'm very creative when it comes to the market. What does it need? What are clients thinking? And you know, we develop the ideas together. If I hear just 2 or 3 words and I come to him and say, I listen, I heard 1, 2, 3. I don't know how to develop this. He puts in a word, I put in another word, and then, you know, the whole idea is developed. And what else, Salloum? That's it, right?
You know, the thing, what you've just described for me, it is so organic. You know, it's so authentic, that process. The eyes, the ears, so many different sources of origination for inspiration when it comes to what you're going to do. And then the way that you two and your different perspectives come together, that's kind of the ignition moment. That's what, you know, that's usually the genesis of where these ideas come from. Are you able to tell me what you're thinking now? What's next? Where does the product go next? I mean, you've already got such a good reputation, good footprint, remarkably ambitious. You know, you guys never lack ambition wherever I bump into you. Are you able to tell us what the roadmap looks like over the next couple of years, or is that a big secret?
A roadmap for the next couple of years is really hard to draw when you live in or when you work in the technology field. You know, the roadmap last year does not really look like the roadmap we updated this year because of the overwhelming AI tsunami that's going on. But definitely optimizing our fast playout is on the roadmap. Integrating AI descriptions and AI summaries, video summaries is on the roadmap. Optimizing our monetization in terms of PVOD and SVOD, integrating with more payment gateways, integrating with more user-friendly payments. That's definitely on our roadmap. What else? What else do you want to say?
Chris, when you have 63 million people using your tools to watch your videos, it becomes a bit hard not to predict or to put a roadmap, but to really think what you want to do. You know, it's very similar to family. When you are just married, it's very easy to plan a vacation. When you have a kid, it becomes harder. When you have three, like we have, it becomes much harder to do it, especially in different ages. So
Yeah,
this is similar for roadmap. We have a very good pipeline. We have a lot of plans. We have a lot of research, but again, we will not put anything on the market, whether new or old, that is not well tested and that doesn't change in terms of productivity. So just to take out features to say we have a new feature and it's not useful, it makes no sense. If you take anything of we have right now, any feature we have right now in Quick Motion, from clipping, from anything, you have millions of users watching those videos getting out. So it's very important to keep the product up and running the way it is with 3 years, zero downtime. That's something very important, with a lot of updates and with a high accuracy.
One of the things that I feel quite confident about when I say this is that taking this to the global stage and demonstrating ambition to take this fantastic product set that you've got to a wider geographic horizon is something that I've seen as well over the course of the last few years. When we last spoke, you'd mentioned the coverage that you've got in Eastern Europe or Greece, coming out of the kind of Gulf region. Just talk to me for a second about that, because that's quite exciting from the commercial growth side of the business as well. We've spoken a lot about the product, but the ability for the product to now spread in terms of its commercial benefit and to see your own brand growing. What's the plan there, Jessy?
Okay, so White Peak Solutions work with prominent media authorities in the Middle East, as you had mentioned earlier. So we have a lot of clients and TV stations spanning from Lebanon to the whole GCC area. But also, we work with the main TV stations in Greece, Sky TV, Star TV, Mega TV, 3D TV. They have a lot of names. And they all use Quick Motion for their video operations. And of course, this is growing, the business is growing, and we're very happy to work with our Greek partners there. Next step is now that WPS is also a French company. It's registered in France, and with Salloum also relocating to France. This is what we're looking into right now, expanding our business in Western Europe, because we do have our product meets the global benchmark. Our product meets the global needs. And we're looking forward to having new partners, new clients in Western Europe.
Just finally then, partnerships, I think, is an important thing, because with so much to offer the market and growing a business, growing your own brand, I can see more and more partnerships kind of coming closer. I think you mentioned Empor earlier and the kind of analytics side of things. Analytics, I can remember speaking to the guys that run Jump 3 years ago in Spain. And one of the things we were talking about in that podcast was that you can capture so much data now. You can turn that data into intelligence, but actually what does it mean for any business? Analytics is something you mentioned earlier as well, Jessy. It must be so important once you're working with these clients to use facts and statistics to help them see what they need to know.
It is one of the end-to-end pillars I mentioned. So if you want to have an end-to-end, it is one important pillar, just as the other technological pillars. So when it comes to data, we've partnered, as you mentioned, with Empor. Why? Because they're one of the best companies when you are talking about video data. Why video data is important? Because it will help you understand what you are serving, what people are watching, when are they dropping. And the tool also helps you to filter, like to add filters on top of filters. So you get deep down to the data you need. Why it's important? Because I don't think anyone can make any kind of decision not based on data, especially these days, when data is available. So yeah, we wanted to provide them with the best tools to get these data to make better decisions, because when they are making better decisions, they're growing. And when they're growing, we're growing as well. We're partners. Because when I said we're looking to have more partners, I was really referring to clients, because that's how we deal with them.
I can feel that in the way that you talk about them as well. look, we're coming towards the end of the slot that I was lucky enough to get with you guys. So thank you for the time that you've offered to me to get this podcast in the can, as they say. But I need to ask you the final question that I always extend to any guests on the podcast. And it's always interesting to hear what people choose, whether it's a business thing, a personal thing, whatever. But to each of you, and we'll start with Salloum, if you could give the younger you one piece of advice, what would it be?
Due diligence the solutions that you're purchasing, because there are a lot of bullshits running in the market. I have seen many. Due diligence, because what you see with White Peaks is what you really get. That's very important. And one last word I would like to say, and we are proud of it, we are the only company in the MENA or in the Middle East even that was able to build the CDN for a telecom operator that none is able to do till date.
CDN is such a hot topic as well. I hear CDN everywhere.
Jessy? We know CDN, and we have built a CDN, and it has also served people and was a telecom operator.
I've got a feeling that we could easily do another podcast if we could coordinate diaries. There's always so much to speak about, and that sounds like a very interesting story. Jessy, wrap us up. What would your piece of advice be to the younger Jessy?
What I learned in my journey is that when you work hard, it pays off. It doesn't really have to pay off immediately. I mean, we live in a world where instant gratification is expected, but that's not really the case. When you work hard, it pays off.
100%. I would agree. But I want to extend my thanks to you two, not only for the last hour or so that you've offered to me to do this and to document and journal this incredible journey that you're on with White Peak Solutions, but also the support that you give to the OTTRED community. It means a lot to me personally. It's meant a lot to me across the last few years. You guys are always head and heart there whenever we're doing anything. And it means a lot to me and Amanda. So it's my opportunity to say thank you and show my gratitude.
We're very grateful for this community, for being part of it, and for having someone like you who's really enthusiastic and passionate about this.
I'll continue to be exactly that, Jessy. Jessy, Salloum, it's been a pleasure recording your episode of the OTTRED Spotlight Podcast. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chris.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.